What are the rules to be followed while recording each and every transaction in the books of account? So remember this carefully. Not even a single dot. You are not going to write anything in your question paper. Once you are familiar with all these sections, practical oriented question is very easy to score. Accountancy is a very easy subject. Once you understand the concept, it is very easy to solve the problems. So feel yourself happy and enjoy studying. Of course, this is very important. Hello everyone, I am Harshita, lecturer, Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram PU College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysore. My dear students, today we shall discuss introduction session on first PUC Accountancy. My dear students, accountancy is one of the important subject in your commerce stream. Let us see or let us have a brief introduction about this subject. Let us see what are the books to be referred, how would be your question paper pattern, what are the rules to be followed while writing your exams. So each and everything we shall discuss in this particular session. Now, this is the books for reference. So my dear students, for your first PUC accountancy syllabus, you have to refer these two books. So they have divided into part 1 as well as part 2. So your part 1 is accountancy, that is the book name is accountancy. There they have written financial accounting part 1. So this is the first book you have to refer in your accountancy syllabus. Now coming to the next book. So this is the continuation of part 1. So we'll be having part 2. So here the book name is also accountancy, where they have written financial accounting part 2. So these are the two main important books that you have to refer for your first PUC accountancy syllabus. And remember, the accountancy or the code for accountancy subject is 30. So the code is what? 30. So this is the books for reference. Hope you are clear with this. You can buy this book and you can refer these books. So this is a prescribed book of NCERT, where the same NCERT syllabus is for your first PUC board examination also. That is for Government of Karnataka board examination. You are going to refer these two books. That is accountancy part 1 as well as part 2. Next, we shall see what are the contents which are included under part 1. That is in your first book, that is part 1. Let us see what are the contents or what are the chapters which are included in your part 1. So here I have divided into these chapters. So in your part 1, you will be having total 8 chapters. So what is the number of chapters in your part 1 book? So total you will be having 8 chapters and chapter name. So your first chapter is Introduction to Accounting, where the periods allotted, so the periods in order to complete this particular chapter is 5, and the marks allotted in your examination from this chapter is 3 marks. So you can expect 3 marks from this particular chapter. That is your first chapter. Next, second chapter, theory base of accounting. So my dear students, since you are going to learn accountancy for the first time, here you are going to learn all the theory concepts in this accounting. So what are the theory concepts? So how this accounting has been originated? So what are the rules to be followed while recording each and every transaction in the books of account? So in detail, you are going to learn all the theory concepts in these first 2 chapters. And for second chapter, the period allotted is 4 hours and marks allotted is 3 marks. So as I told you, you have to be very strong in your foundation. That is, you have to learn your accounting concepts as well as the theory concepts of accounting properly, because this first PUC accountancy always acts as a foundation for your further studies also. So make sure that you will learn these 2 chapters very clearly. So this is the basics for your theory concepts. Next, coming to the third chapter, recording of transactions 1. So in your first and second chapter, as I told you, you are going to learn about theory, and your third chapter is recording of transaction 1. There you start how to record each and every transaction in the books of accounts. So what are the rules to be followed? So which are the types of accounts? So here the first or the accounting starts with recording with journal. So you will learn about journal as well as ledger in recording of transaction 1. So here in this unit, we are going to learn how we are actually going to record the transactions in the books of accounts, and this is both practical as well as theory chapter. Now see the weightage here. So how much period it requires? 17 hours. So 17 hours is required to complete this particular chapter, and the marks allotted, that is maximum marks you can expect from these chapter 3 as well as chapter 4. So if you see the chapter 3, so what is the marks allotted? 21 marks. So you can expect 21 marks from chapter 3. And it is a very easy chapter also. Only thing is that you have to understand the concept. Always I tell you, don't memorize the transaction, understand the concept, because from one problem to another problem, the transactions will be totally different. So make sure that you will understand the logic, you will understand the concept. So this is about chapter 3, recording of transactions 1, a very important chapter where you are going to learn how you are going to, or how you will start to record the transactions. Next, coming to chapter 4. Recording of transaction 2. So it is a continuation of recording of transaction 1, that is continuation of chapter 3, where you are going to learn about various types of subsidiary books. So there are number of subsidiary books, you will learn about it later. Now in recording of transaction 2, it is also one of the important chapter. So from the examination point of view, the marks allotted is 25 marks. So you can get maximum marks from this chapter 3 as well as chapter 4, where chapter 3 21 marks and chapter 4 is 25 marks. And for chapter 4, number of hours allotted is 14 hours. So these are the 4 important chapters. Next, coming to the 5th one. So 5th chapter is bank reconciliation statement. Of course, when the business starts expanding, so they will put their amount in the bank, right? So there is a relationship between the organization as well as bank, where organization will also maintain a separate book. In the same way, bank also will maintain a separate book relating to the transaction which takes place between the bank as well as the organization. Now, what is this bank reconciliation statement? So in order to record each and every transaction with relation to bank, so here the organization will maintain a book which is called as cash book. In the same way, bank, they will maintain one particular book in order to record the transaction of the organization, which is called as passbook. So in bank reconciliation statement, we are going to compare bank balance as per cash book and bank balance as per passbook. So here also we are going to learn few problems. So here also there are practical problems, very important problem for 12 marks that we'll learn in bank reconciliation statement. Next, the number of periods allotted is 12 hours and the marks allotted is 14 marks. So you can expect 14 marks from this chapter 5, that is bank reconciliation statement. Now coming to the 6th chapter of part 1, that is trial balance and rectification of errors. Of course, we human beings, of course, will make mistake while recording in the books of account. So how to rectify that mistake? Of course, if the error continues till the end of the financial year, of course, the financial statement becomes wrong. So in order to show the correct financial statement, so we have to rectify the errors. So we have to correct that errors. So we shall learn how we are going to correct that errors. We are not scribbling out or we are not cutting the wrong statement what we have made. We shall see, or we have to record a particular, or we have to record a reverse entry in order to rectify that errors. So whatever the mistakes what we have made while recording in the books of account, so it has to rectify. For that, a separate journal entry has to be recorded. So that we are going to learn under your chapter 6, trial balance and rectification of errors. And the periods allotted here is 9 hours. And let us see what is the marks allotted from this chapter, that is 9 marks. So you can expect 9 marks from this 6th chapter. Now moving on to the 7th chapter, depreciation, provisions and reserves. So we shall discuss in detail in our upcoming session what is this depreciation is all about and what are the provisions and reserves. So how to calculate the depreciation. So time being you remember, so our 7th chapter is depreciation, provisions and reserves, where the period allotted is 14 hours. So in order to complete this particular chapter, we need 14 hours of class. Next, marks allotted is 14 marks. So you can expect 14 marks from this chapter, very easy chapter where you can go on recording the transaction. So here the marks allotted is 14 marks. Next, last chapter under part 1, that is under part 1 book. So accounting for bill of exchange. So this is also an important chapter where the period allotted is 14 hours. So 14 hours is required to complete this particular chapter, and let us see what is the marks allotted, and you can expect 13 marks from this particular chapter. So these are the contents, or these are the chapter which is included under part 1 book. As I have already told you, the whole syllabus has been divided into part 1 as well as part 2, whereas in part 1 you are expecting 8 chapters. So there will be 8 chapters. So we have already discussed about which are the chapters, how much period is required and what is the marks allotment from this particular chapter. So if you see this part 1, so which are the most important chapters here? Recording of transaction 1, recording of transactions 2, where you can gain maximum marks from these 2 chapters. Now coming to part 2, let us see what are the contents which are included under part 2. So here you will be having total 5 chapters. So under part 1 you had 8 chapters. In part 2 you are having total of 5 chapters. So it is a continuation of part 1. So under first, or here the first chapter is under part 2, financial statement 1. So here financial statement, at the end of the financial year, how we are going to prepare the financial statement, that we are going to discuss under part 2 under the first chapter, financial statement 1. And the period allotted for this particular chapter is 8 hours. That is 8 hours is required to complete this particular chapter, and marks allotted is you can expect 8 marks from this particular chapter, that is financial statement 1. Next, under part 2, your second chapter is financial statements 2. So it is a continuation of financial statement 1. So it is a continuation of financial statement 1, that is financial statement 2, your second chapter under part B, that is part 2. So the period required is 10 hours, and what is the marks allotted from this financial accounting 2 is 13 marks. So you can expect 13 marks from this financial accounting 2. Now moving on to the third chapter under part 2, that is accounts from incomplete record. So here it is also called as accounting of a single entry system of bookkeeping. So we are going to discuss accounts from incomplete records where the period allotted is 13 hours. So 13 hours is required to complete this particular chapter, and see the marks allotment. So it is a very important chapter in part 2, that is you can expect 19 marks from this chapter, that is accounts from incomplete records. Now fourth and fifth chapter is relating to computerized accounting, that is by using the computer how this accounting has to be prepared, or how this accounting is being connected to the computer, that you are going to learn under chapter 4 and chapter 5 under part 2. So this is theory chapters. So these 2 are theory chapters, where your fourth chapter is applications of computers in accounting. So how computers are being used in accounting, and the number of hours required is 6 hours. So in order to complete this particular chapter we need 6 hours, and marks allotted is you can expect 3 marks. So this is basically, I have told you, it is a theory chapter. So you can expect 3 marks from your fourth chapter, applications of computers in accounting. Next, fifth chapter, computerized accounting system. As I told you, in recent days, as the technology has been improved, in accounting also they are using the computers. So, by using the computers, so how this accounting is being conducted? So, what are the importance of or what are the advantages of using the computer in accounting system? So, each and everything about the computer in relation to accounting, we are going to discuss in these last two chapters. So your fifth chapter is computerized accounting system, and the periods allotted for this particular chapter is 9 and the marks allotment is 7. So these are the contents of your part 2. So you'll be having total 5 chapters. Now let us see what is the total marks. What is the total marks you can expect from these two part 1 as well as part 2 in your final examination, that is excluding POQ questions. So I'll discuss in detail what is this POQ questions. Now time being, you remember in your part E, so in your question paper, in your part E, so it's all about POQ questions, that is practical oriented questions, where they might ask for 5 marks relating to the format of a particular account or specimen of a particular vouchers. So that will be asked in your part E, that is practical oriented questions. Excluding this part E practical oriented question, so the total marks allotted from part 1 as well as part 2 book is total 152 marks. So you may wonder, ma'am, our exam is for 100 marks. So how you can expect 152? That is without practical oriented question. So your whole question paper will be divided into 5 parts. Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D and Part E. Excluding this Part E, the total weightage of these two books, that is Part 1 and Part 2 is total is 152. I'll tell later why it is 152, not 100. Okay, and add this practical oriented questions. That is, I have told you under part E, they will ask practical oriented question. We shall discuss in detail while discussing the question paper pattern. So as I told you, in part E, they will ask practical oriented question. So practical oriented question, the number of hours required to complete that practical oriented question is 14 hours and the marks allotted is 15 marks. So you can expect 15 marks practical oriented question in your question paper. And grand total, that is including POQ. So if you add, so this is only the concepts of part 1 and part 2, and you will have practical oriented question under part E. So till part D. So till part D, so you can expect 152 marks, and in part E you can expect 15 marks. So in part E, they will ask practical oriented question for 15 marks, and the total grand total of all the or whole subject is how much? 167 marks. So I have told you your exam is for 100 marks. Clear? Then why it is 167? Because you will be having number of options in each and every section. So in each and every part, that is in your question paper, from part A to part E, you will be having number of options where the whole question paper will be for 167 marks, out of which you have to write or you have to answer for 100 marks. So this is, see the beauty of the question paper here, you are having number of options. For 67 marks, you are having an option where you are going to answer only for 100 marks. So this is a total weightage of this subject where you can expect 167 marks in your question paper, but you are going to answer only for 100 marks. So this is about the contents which is included under part 1 as well as part 2. Now moving on to the next one, as I have already told you, remember the subject code of accountancy is what? 30. So this is the subject code of this subject accountancy, that is 30. Now let us see what are the general guidelines or instructions on question paper that you have to remember. So there are a number of instructions they will give, but these are the important points you have to remember while answering your question paper. So first PUC Accountancy, Pre-University Department, Government of Karnataka. So this is relating or this is prescribed only to the Karnataka board. So we are going to discuss only about the question paper of Karnataka board. So see the guidelines here, general guidelines or instructions on question paper. So let us see what are the instructions. So the first one is duration of the annual examination is 3 hours 15 minutes. So you are going to answer only for 3 hours. So the total hours to answer your question paper is 3 hours. Then what is this 15 minutes? In this 15 minutes, you are going to read out you are going to analyze the question paper. So this 15 minutes is to read and analyze your question paper. So first 15 minutes, question paper will be given. So you are going to read and analyze the question paper. So for that, they have allotted 3 hours 15 minutes and rest 3 hours you are going to write your answers. So first 15 minutes you are going to read and analyze your question paper. Next, maximum marks of question paper is 167. So we have already discussed about it. So the whole question paper will be for 167 marks, out of which you are going to answer for 100 marks. In the sense, you will be having number of options in each and every sections. So make sure that you will go through each and every questions in each and every section. So whichever questions is more comfortable to answer, you are going to answer those questions. So the whole question paper will be for 167 marks. And the maximum marks to be answered is 100. So your whole or the marks of your whole answer sheet is for 100, where you are going to write for 100 marks. But you will be having number of options. So make sure that which option you go for. So you will go for those options which you are familiar with. So whatever the answers you know properly, that you will attempt in your examination. So you are going to answer your question paper for 100. So make sure that on which question you are most familiar with or which question you have understood properly, that will answer first. So you can attempt all the questions if you have time. So but make sure that you will write it for 100 marks. It doesn't mean that you have to write only up to 100 marks. So you can attempt more questions also. So your whole question paper will be for 167 marks. And do not write anything in your question paper. So remember this carefully, not even a single dot. You are not going to write anything in your question paper. So these are the few guidelines or the general instructions while writing your examination. As I told you, so the hours or the total duration of your examination will be 3 hours 15 minutes, where whole 3 hours you are going to write the answers, and 15 minutes, first 15 minutes you are going to read the question paper and analyze the questions. Next, maximum marks of question paper is 167. So the whole question paper will be for 167 marks with options. So you have to write only for 100 marks. As I told you, don't limit yourself to attempt only for 100 marks. You can attempt more than that also. Do not write anything in the question paper. So you are not supposed to write anything in your question paper, not even a single dot. So this is about your guidelines as well as instructions while writing your exam. Now, let us see what is the question paper pattern. So I have already told you, I am going to discuss about question paper pattern here. So your whole question paper will be divided into 5 sections. Section A, Section B, Section C, Section D and Section E. So this is how your question paper will be divided. So the whole question paper will be divided into 5 sections. It is A, B, C, D and E. Now, what is the number of questions which is given in particular section? That is, under section A, they will give you 10 questions, out of which you have to answer only 8. So here 2 questions you will have an option here. So they will give you 10 questions, out of which you are going to answer only 8 and which carries 1 marks. So in your section A, this is for 1 marks. They will give you 10 questions. You have to answer 8 questions which carries 1 mark. So the total marks is 8. That is 8 into 1. So that is how much total you can expect from your section A is 8 marks. Now coming to section B. So here they will ask 8 questions, out of which you are going to write only 5 questions. So here 3 question is option for you, or 3 questions is options for you. So they will ask 8 questions, out of which you have to write any 5 questions which carries 2 marks. So your section B is for 2 marks. So 5 into 2. So the total marks expected in your section B is 10 marks. Clear? Now moving on to the section C. So they will ask 7 questions, out of which you are going to write 4 questions. So here out of 7 questions you have to write 4 questions. So here also 3 questions is options for you. So you can choose any of the questions which you are familiar with. So they will ask 7 questions, out of which you have to write any 4 which carries 6 marks. So your section C is for 6 marks. So 4 into 6, you can expect 24 marks in your section C. That is for 6 marks. Next, section D. So they will ask 7 questions, out of which you have to write only 4. So here also you are having an option of 3. So 3 question is an option for you. You can choose any of 4 questions out of 7 questions which carries 12 marks. Now see the weightage here. Under section D, the total marks or the weightage of your question is 12 marks. So 4 into 12, so you can expect 48 marks in your section D. So this is a maximum marks where you can gain here. You can expect 48 marks in your section D. Now coming to the last section, section E. So I have already told you it is a practical oriented question. So we call it as POQ. That is practical oriented questions. Practical oriented questions. So once you are familiar with all these sections, practical oriented question is very easy to score. As I told you, they might ask any of the performer or any of the format of a particular account or a specimen of a particular vouchers. So these type of easy questions will be asked in your part E or section E, that is practical oriented question. So they will ask 3 questions, out of which you have to write any 2 questions. So you can attempt any of 2 questions and 1 question will be an option for you. So here practical oriented question is for 5 marks. So as I told you, it's a very easy question or a very easy section where you can expect specimen, format, performer. So such type of things will be asked in your practical oriented question. So they will ask 3 questions, out of which you have to write any 2 and 1 question will be your option for you. So 2 into 5, you can expect 10 marks under section E, that is under practical oriented question, POQ. So the total paper will be, or the total accountancy question paper will be for 100 marks. Under section A, 8 marks, that is of 1 mark, and section B, 2 marks, where you can get 10 marks here. Next, section C is for 6 marks, where you can get 24 marks here, and section D, 12 marks, where you can get 48 marks here, and section E, that is practical oriented question, of 5 marks, where you can expect 10 marks here. So the total weightage of the whole question paper is for 100 marks. So hope you are clear with the question paper pattern. Next we shall see what are the tips to solve accounting problems very easily. So what are the tips to be followed while solving the accounting problems? So if you see the first one, make your fundamentals strong. Since you are learning this accountancy subject for the first time, so make sure that, so this first PUC accountancy always acts as the basics. So make sure that you will learn each and every concepts in detail. You will understand the concepts very clearly. So make your fundamentals strong. So once you're strong with your fundamentals of accounting, it is very easy to solve the problems. Now the second tip is that learn through real life examples. Of course, we undertake number of activities in a particular day. So relate that activities to accounting so that you can understand this accounting very easily. So always learn through real life examples. Next, third tip is that understand the logic, don't mug up. So as I told you, this is a subject where you can't mug up each and everything. So you have to understand the concept because one particular problem will be separately or completely different from that of another. So make sure that you will not mug up the concepts, you will understand the concept. So understand the logic, don't mug up. And the next one is practice makes man perfect. So this is a subject where you have to practice yourself. So when you practice yourself in a particular sheet of paper, then only you can understand what are the mistakes you are going to make. Even a silly mistake will also lead to lose your marks. So make sure that you will practice at home. So you will take a sheet of paper, you will practice on your own, then only you will understand what the mistakes you are going to make. Next, theory first, then problem solving. Of course, if you see your syllabus itself, first two chapters I have already told you, they have given the theory about accounting. So why they have given? Because once you understand the theory, it will be easy to go for problems. So make sure that theory first, then problem solving. So first you understand the theory, then you can go for solving the problems. And the next one is make notes for revision. So whenever you are going to study a particular subject or particular concept in accounting, make sure that you will write a notes of your own. So why this notes has to be written? So whatever the important points what you are going through, you can write down in a particular notes so that it will be easy for you to recall during the examination. So make a habit of writing the notes. And the next one is analyze your arithmetical accuracy. So while solving the problem, you can use the calculators. So make sure that you will go through this arithmetical accuracy. So you will count each and every numbers properly. So each and every counting, each and every posting from ledger to or journal to ledger. So this has to be done. So arithmetical accuracy has to be maintained. Focus on presentation as well as time management. Of course, it is very important. So, as I have already told you, it's not just that you get the ultimate answer. So, make sure that you will present your answer sheet properly. So, focus on the presentation of your answers. Write each and every heading neatly. Draw each and every columns by using your pencil as well as scale. So, presentation of your answer is very important. At the same time, time management. You should focus on time also. So here, the whole question paper will be divided into 5 sections. That is from part A to part E. So make sure that in each and every section, how much time you will spend in order to solve the problems. So time management is very important. And the next one is study in a group. Of course, it is very essential to study in a group because studying in a group make you to understand properly because each and every student will be having their own opinion or having their own techniques to solve the problem. So make sure that you will study in a group so that you will understand the concept clearly. Next, feel yourself happy and enjoy studying. Of course, accountancy is a very easy subject. Once you understand the concept, it is very easy to solve the problems. So, feel yourself happy and enjoy studying. Of course, this is very important. So, you have to enjoy studying, then only you can understand the concepts clearly. So, whenever you have solved a problem and got the correct answer, feel yourself happy. So, feel yourself being appreciated. Then only you will enjoy studying. So, these are the few tips tips to be followed while solving the accounting problems. My dear students, hope you have understood the session. Today we had a brief introduction about the subject accountancy. See you all in my next session. Till then, take care. Thank you.